Hello everyone. In today's video, I am going to speak about glycemic index of foods. Under this topic, I'll be speaking about the definition of glycemic index, classification of glycemic index as low glycemic index food, medium glycemic index food, and high glycemic index food. Then the benefits of eating low glycemic foods and also the conditions during which the glycemic index of foods vary. Now, coming to the definition of glycemic index. What is glycemic index of a food? The glycemic index is a ranking of carbohydrate foods on a scale from 0 to 100 according to the extent to which they raise blood sugar levels after eating. Foods with a high GI are those which are rapidly digested, absorbed, and metabolized and result in marked fluctuations in blood sugar levels. Low GI carbohydrate foods are the ones that produce smaller fluctuations in your blood glucose. The glycemic index tells us whether a carbohydrate containing food raises blood glucose levels quickly, moderately, or slowly. This means it can be useful to help you manage your diabetes. Different carbohydrates are digested and absorbed at different rates, and GI is a ranking of how quickly each carbohydrate based food and drink makes blood glucose levels rise after eating them. Now let us see how this glycemic index works. The glycemic index ranks food according to how fast blood glucose levels rise after consuming a specific amount, that is 50 gram of a test food, as compared with a reference food such as white bread or pure glucose. White bread or pure glucose, they are considered as test food and they have a glycemic index of 100. Foods that produce a higher peak in blood glucose within 2 hours of eating them are given a higher GI ranking. Thus, low GI foods do not produce high blood glucose and are considered as low glycemic index foods and are good for our health. So this is a graph in which the time is given in x-axis, time that is in hours is given in x-axis, and the blood glucose level is given in y-axis. So when a person eats a low glycemic index food such as basmati rice, vegetables, lentils, pasta, whole grain bread, oats, whole oranges, what happens to his blood glucose level? It rises very slowly and you can see the peak. It reaches a level of about 100 or 120, and then after 2 hours it comes to normal level, that is about 80 to 90 mm of H per deciliter, mm per deciliter. Whereas when we consume high glucose, high GI foods like white bread, watermelon, processed food, potatoes, jasmine rice, ice cream, dates, biscuits, cakes, chips, these are considered as high GI foods. What happens to the blood glucose levels? They rise very sharply and even in an hour they reach the peak. Like the blood glucose levels, they reach about 300 or 400 and then also falls sharply, then reaches about 60, 70, 80 mg per deciliter. So when a person consumes low glycemic index foods, what happens to his blood glucose level? It raises very slowly, slow increase in blood sugar followed by a gradual fall in blood sugar. Whereas when a person consumes a high GI food, there is a rapid rise in blood sugar followed by rapid fall in blood sugar. Now, this is how the glycemic index is classified. Glycemic index is classified as high GI food, medium GI food, and low GI food. High GI food are those that have the rank above 70, that is equal to and above 70. They cause a rapid increase in blood sugar levels. Medium GI foods, they have a ranking between 56 to 69, and there is a moderate increase in the blood sugar levels after the consumption. Low GI foods are those that have the rank below and up to 55. There is a very slow increase in blood sugar levels after their consumption. So let us see the glycemic index chart in detail. The standardized glycemic index ranges from 0 to 100. The ranking is given from 0 to 100. Zero glycemic foods are those without carbohydrate. Include zero glycemic foods are those without carbohydrate. They include items like meats, fish, and oil. Pure sugar has a glycemic index of 100 and it is considered to be very high. Low glycemic foods, they have a glycemic load of 55 or lower and include most fruits and vegetables, beans, dairy, and some grains. Foods such as bananas, raisins, and sweet potatoes, they are considered to be medium glycemic foods and are ranked between 56 and 69. High glycemic foods are ranked at 70 and above, and they include table sugar, ice cream, and other heavily processed foods that are high in calories as well as fat. The glycemic index of a food can vary significantly in the following ways. The glycemic index of a food, it may vary from person to person depending upon the digestion, absorption, and metabolism of the particular food. And also with the quantity of food eaten. When a person eats a very less quantity, the glycemic index will not spike to high level. Whereas when he eats too much of the food, the glycemic index, the blood glucose level, it may rise sharp and from one time of a day to another. Similarly, the glycemic index may not rise very sharply when the person is active, whereas when the person is physically inactive, the glycemic index may rise very sharply. And when a food is eaten alone versus when it is eaten with other foods, and also depending upon the ripeness, variety, cooking method used, degree of processing, and the site of origin. For examples, let us take cooking methods: frying, boiling, and baking. Here, boiling method of the food that is boiled will have a high glycemic index. Processing and ripeness of the fruits and certain vegetables When a fruit is ripened and when it is extremely ripened, the GI will be more. Take for example a banana. When it is ripened, the GI will be very high. Whereas when it is semi-ripened or raw, the GI will be very low. Then fiber foods, whole grain and high fiber foods act as physical barrier that slow down the absorption of carbohydrate. Fat lowers the GI of a food. For example, chocolate has a low GI because of its fat content, and the crisps will actually have a lower GI than potatoes cooked without fat. Proteins, they lower the GI of food. Milk and other dairy products, they have a low GI because they are high in protein and contain fat. Now, what are the benefits of selecting low glycemic, medium glycemic, and high glycemic index foods? Some studies suggest that lower glycemic index diets may offer important health benefits like a reduced risk of heart disease and diabetes. In studies that observed large groups of people over time, eating a lower glycemic index diet was associated with less obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. So let us be choosy while selecting our food and select foods that are low in glycemic index to lead a healthy life. Thank you for watching.